Rachel Zegler was given the chance of a lifetime with a $200 million project from Disney, but she definitely blew it because by the end she was being torched by the company.
Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, the board of directors, the many executives over there are really just scrambling right now to just get past this movie and call it quits and just move on to other projects.
Rachel Zegler, once Disney's chosen star for their ambitious $200 million Snow White remake, now finds herself engulfed in a Hollywood maelstrom, a stark and cautionary narrative of a dream spectacularly curdled. What began as a golden opportunity, headlining a tentpole Disney project, stepping into the iconic shoes of a beloved fairy tale heroine, has instead devolved into a protracted public relations catastrophe, culminating in deeply unsettling allegations of a clandestine studio blacklist that threatens to irrevocably derail her burgeoning career. Whispers and rumors, initially confined to hushed industry circles, have now escalated into a deafening roar, suggesting that by the time the curtain fell on the disastrous Snow White remake, Zegler wasn't merely weathering the predictable storm of online critics and legions of disappointed fans. She had, according to increasingly credible sources, become a veritable persona non grata within the very walls of the Magic Kingdom itself.
I didn't get that. I'm like, every single white male is a piece of shit, and the woman is the hero, and all authority is bad, and all business is bad, but government is good as social. And most people don't know what they're watching. She, unfortunately, sort of pulled the curtain back, and people knew exactly what was going on.
The whispers have morphed into a chorus of explosive allegations, echoing throughout the entertainment industry and reverberating far beyond the typical confines of Hollywood gossip. Shocking new developments have emerged, painting a picture of a studio in full-blown crisis mode, with Rachel Zegler at the very epicenter of the storm. These allegations, if substantiated, suggest nothing less than a deliberate and potentially career-ending professional blacklisting orchestrated by the Walt Disney Company, a stunning accusation that has sent shockwaves rippling through the industry and sparked furious debate about power, accountability, and the often brutal realities of Hollywood's star-making machinery.
Yes, Toolman.
Yeah, I have a clip of it.
Oh, okay, great.
Her being a retard.
Okay.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be
yeah.
saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
According to sources purportedly operating in close proximity to the young actress, Zegler has, in recent weeks, become acutely aware of internal communications, some veiled and subtle, others reportedly far more direct and unambiguous, hinting at a meticulously coordinated and far-reaching effort within the upper echelons of Disney to effectively and perhaps permanently freeze her out of any and all future Hollywood endeavors. The accusation is stark and deeply troubling. Following the undeniably catastrophic critical and commercial reception of their live-action Snow White remake, Disney executives haven't simply sought to publicly shift the burden of blame for the film's multifaceted failure squarely onto Zegler's shoulders, citing her undeniably controversial public remarks as the primary catalyst for audience alienation. They have allegedly gone a significant step further, actively, and through potentially covert channels, orchestrated a systematic campaign to ensure that she becomes, in essence, radioactive to any and all marquee projects currently in development across the industry.
It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. The movie is really, really bad.
The alleged internal sentiment driving this drastic and potentially career-ending action, as described by sources privy to the inner workings of Disney, paints a grim and unflattering portrait of a studio in full-blown corporate panic. Disney executives, from the towering figure of CEO Bob Iger and the influential board of directors down through the labyrinthine layers of studio management, are purportedly operating in a state of near-frantic damage control, their primary objective laser-focused on strategically distancing the entire Walt Disney Company and its meticulously curated brand image from the rapidly metastasizing Snow White debacle. The overarching priority, according to these increasingly insistent whispers, is to simply move on, to swiftly and decisively bury the cinematic carcass of the ill-fated film, and to aggressively cauterize any and all lingering reputational damage that threatens to bleed out and infect other, more promising properties within the vast Disney portfolio.
She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
The
Our
right to buy
reproductive
Cosby
rights.
sweaters?
Come on.
That's the face
Go
of a
vote blue.
serial killer.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
And in this alleged high-stakes strategy of corporate self-preservation, Rachel Zegler, the once anointed fairest of them all, the actress handpicked to embody a new generation of Disney heroines, has allegedly become tragically expendable, a strategically positioned and publicly vilified scapegoat deemed necessary to absorb the brunt of the audience's ire and deflect broader scrutiny from the studio's own potentially flawed creative and marketing strategies. This latest bombshell revelation marks a dramatic and deeply unsettling escalation in what was already a profoundly tumultuous and increasingly toxic saga. What initially began as a relatively contained public relations crisis surrounding a demonstrably poorly received and commercially underperforming film project has now morphed with alarming speed, and a project initially perceived as a guaranteed triumph, a golden ticket to superstardom, can just as swiftly transform into a professional abyss, a career-threatening quagmire under the relentless, unforgiving glare of social media scrutiny, industry gossip, and the cold, calculating calculus of corporate self-preservation.
But the primary suffering is being sent in by my company to watch a children's movie as a single man, like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. That was the first part that was a little bit weird, but I was basically the only person in the theater.
The tension first surfaced when the live-action Snow White, meant to be a flashy update of the 1937 animated masterpiece, bombed both critically and commercially. Early trailers had already sparked apprehension, with fans complaining about the apparent lack of whimsy and nostalgia in footage that seemed laser-focused on contemporary social messaging. Once the film finally premiered, scores of moviegoers and critics lamented the absence of the lighthearted enchantment that characterized the original. It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. The movie is really, really bad.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced,
He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
thing that was like trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
Zegler's comments during press junkets, where she called the prince creepy and labeled the timeless romance outdated, ignited their own firestorm online. Overnight, she went from being an optimistic voice for fresh interpretations to the de facto scapegoat for an entire film's perceived disrespect of classic Disney tradition, illustrating how precariously a rising career can hang when a project that once seemed like a guaranteed triumph collapses. In the immediate aftermath of the film's dismal box office take and negative feedback, Disney executives reportedly considered multiple strategies to salvage what was fast becoming an unmitigated PR nightmare.
And so it was like
Those people.
very much this, yes. It was this
the people that we
awakening
need to educate, the people that we need to love into awareness.
love them in the right direction.
Initially, some higher-ups floated the idea of shifting marketing dollars to push streaming releases, hoping to quietly bury Snow White and pivot to other projects. Yet as shareholder and fan outrage escalated, the narrative turned hostile. High-ranking insiders began pointing to Zegler's interviews and social media posts, suggesting that her dismissive tone regarding the 1937 original masterpiece had alienated core audiences. Publicly, the studio withheld explicit blame, but privately, sources say certain executives discussed ways to isolate Zegler from upcoming roles at both Disney and its subsidiary brands.
Yeah. Everyone is serving it's just her going, we need to no, you don't it's not your job. Your job is to entertain. You are paid to entertain. That's what this is. Also, it's very disturbing.
Underscoring how swiftly a beloved figure can be recast as a liability when corporate profits and brand identity come under threat. Gal Gadot, the film's other marquee star, was not spared criticism, but her role in the controversy appeared more muted. While her portrayal of the evil queen was initially hailed as an inspired choice, she largely refrained from addressing the swirling disputes, preferring a low-key promotional approach that left Zegler front and center for press queries.
Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad.
Disney insiders soon recognized that Gadot, despite also appearing in the ill-fated film, had managed to sidestep the vitriol directed at her co-star. In contrast,